Hey guys, welcome back to World of Tanks. My name's Bruce and today I want to talk about two particular maps and tell you what you need to do in order to maximize your chance of winning the game. Let's go. So in this video I want to talk about two particular maps and two particular situations. We will discuss the strategic position on these two maps and how you need to play and also react depending on what your team and the other team is doing. So without further ado, let's jump into some gameplay. So we are spawning with the CS63 on the northern spawn on Mines, but let's first of all take a look at the map and see how this map works from a, let's say, strategic standpoint. Spawning on Mines in the north, this is how the game usually develops. And let's take a closer look at where the strategic position is located now. Mines might get a rework in 2026. However, as of now, the strategic position on this very small map is this hill right here. So if you have control over this portion, then you have basically, let's say, 75% of map control, because from this position right here you can outspot and you know, take adversary tanks under fire, you know, basically all over the map. So if the green team wins the hill, then not only can they spot this portion of the map, so basically like so, they can spot this portion with this corridor, and they can even, you know, spot this portion. So all of the southern portion will be spotted, and at least if all those tanks will take a shot, then they will get spotted due to the very close distance. And basically same applies for the red team. So for the team which is spawning in the south, if they win the hill, then basically they can outspot the whole northern portion of the map as well. So this is why the hill on Mines as of now is super important. Now, I have seen games in which the hill was won, but in which one or the other team lost the 1 and 2 lane, and then, for example, if the northern team can push into this position like so, then they can take those tanks under fire, i.e. those tanks will get taken out, and then all of a sudden the front line of the map is something like that. So of course without those lines here, and then basically what the green team or the northern team would have in this situation is, let's say, 35% of let's say map control. Of course this makes it relatively easy to win the game, but then the same thing applies if the red team wins the 1 and 2 lane, because then the map control would basically look something like that. So they can push into this position, and then basically it looks something like maybe this, once again with an easy chance of winning the game with such an amount of map control. So the question is, should you rush the hill? And in my opinion, it depends on the situation. If you have the more mobile tanks with the greater firepower, then yes, you should go for it and try to win the hill. If not, then you should try to go into a more defensive position and then try to decrease the amount of HP of the tanks which are rushing the hill, and then later on try to win the hill, basically regain the hill. And then if you have won the hill, it is not the time for over-aggressive gameplay, because if you then throw away your tanks, then you will not be able to exploit the strategic advantage that you have just gained with winning the hill, but you have to basically step by step try to exploit the advantage that you just won with winning the hill. And how does it look like? Well, let's return into the game. So yeah, if you have a fast tank and if you know, have a decent amount of firepower, then you can try, and maybe you should try to push the hill. In this situation, I want to try it out because my tank is the fastest one on the battlefield, maybe apart from light tanks, but I have the firepower advantage on my side. Now, if this does not work, and if I get, you know, if I end up in a fight against, let's say, 3 light tanks, I need to evade and drop down on the other side of the hill. But in this situation, it actually worked out, and now here is the golden thing you have to keep in mind. If you have won if you have won the hill, you have to carefully not throw away this situation. This is super duper important, okay? So let's first of all take shots onto the E100. Keep in mind, in this position, you are susceptible to RT fire because artillery can and might focus you if you're constantly playing in this position. But now I want to risk it and then take out the E100. Nice. Of course, he was very stupid driving into a crossfire situation, in a situation in which he can take shots from our heavy tanks and then also from me, who is located at his side. But good for me. Alright, so let's see. Maybe I can take a shot onto the Manticore. Let's see. The thing is, if you drive into the bushes in the F5 or let's say F6 position, then not only can you get outspotted if a light tank is at the rear of the map, you can also get spotted from players who are opening up a proxy spot like this smart VZ55, and you have to calculate this, you have to take this into consideration. So always approach the rock first and then notice whether you are proxy spotted or not, and only if you are not proxy spotted, go into the bushes and try to spot the TDs at the rear of the map on the K lane. This is super important, and this is where most of the players throw away mines, even if they have won this strategic position. Now, the next golden rule is just stay patient. You know, you should exploit the hill. You should exploit having won the hill step by step. Do not rush anything. Simply try to exploit this situation very slowly and step by step. This is what you need to do. So right now I'm thinking of where I can, you know, be beneficial in the fight, but I do want to maintain my HP by all means, and I do not want to do a silly mistake and throw away my tank. This is my goal after I have won the hill on mines. Now, I was going into this position because I thought that the adversary tanks would basically push the one lane, and so I thought it would be time for a defensive play, but looks like the M48 Patton and also the Manticore are kind of regaining map control when it comes to the 1 and 2 lane. So I rather want to go to this position and maybe punish the Manticore once he peeks out of cover and once he does a mistake, but looks like this is a very skilled player, not doing any mistakes whatsoever. So instead, here you go. Here you go. There's a tank which is doing a mistake. Unfortunately, he is falling back into cover. And so unfortunately, I cannot get a shot onto him. Now, even in this position, stay outside, or you need to make sure that the adversary tanks stay outside your proxy spotting circle, so the blue circle, so that you do not get spotted, because if you get spotted, you will the adversary tanks will be able to very quickly take a shot onto you, as the distances on mines are very close. So instead I want to fall back and I want to go into this position right here. Here you go, and maybe with fully aiming in my gun. Nice, I can take a shot onto the Tessac. Now I do not get spotted, which is nice, and I can stay here as long as I'm not spotted, i.e. as long as nobody is driving close to this position. Now the VZ55 is returning, so he's proxy spotting me, i.e. I need to fall back. Now I want to stand here in this position to evade the arty shot. Wait 10 seconds, he is going to the other side of the map, and now he's once again returning. So you know what, I think it is time to once again evade out of this position. Yes, I'm proxy spotted, but let's now quickly evade out of this position. Alright, yeah, as you can see, winning the hill does not mean anything if you then do not continue with smart gameplay. And this is what I want to teach you in this video. If you've won the hill, and this maybe also applies for other maps in which there is a strategic position, so I don't know, maybe you know, Malinovka with the hill, or maybe other maps, Prokhorovka also with the hill. You do not want to, you want to continue to you know, conduct smart gameplay. You know what, let's take a nice, here you go, let's take a snapshot onto the FV4005. And now if he moves out of cover, yeah, I've reloaded my gun and I can take him out. Excellent, because he needs to aim in. Of course, a little bit of risk I've taken right here, but I think it was worth a shot. Alright, 2k damage. Game is on the winning side, and I think we can slowly but steadily exploit the advantage that we have with having won the hill. And that is exactly what you need to do. We'll take a shot onto the Tessak. No, maybe the level 1 if he falls back. Nice, yep, we can take him out. So game is once again on the losing side. Again, the Reno Chironte goes into this proxy spotting location. So we need to understand that we are now spotted, and that, for example, yeah, arties are not in the game anymore, which is great. So as long as we do not go back into the bush, we cannot get spotted. All right, so maybe now it is time to head the Dravek against the mouse, but if he doesn't advance, I cannot do this because I do not want to end up in a 1v1 situation against the mouse. This would not be what I want to see. Now he's down to being, what is it? Yeah, now down to being one shotable. So now I can take on the risk and approach him by surprise, because I only need one shot to simply take him out. Now let's see, into the rear of his turret. Nice, and we can take him out. All right, so 2.6k damage, nice. And I think now it is time to use the travel mode with the CS63. And now as the Reno Chironte is you know, engaged in a fight with the Tessak, I can simply go to this position right here and simply not take damage, but go into the adversary base. Now let's switch the mode, and now I still have enough HP in order to play aggressively and in order to approach even the TDs. Reno Chironte has been taken out, and now we can simply advance and then maybe spot those. Yeah, here you go, nice. Spot the gorilla, take all the damage, nice. Maybe we can hit him, excellent. So we are wonderful. 3k damage, 1.2k assisting damage, and I think a very decent result in the CS63. And I think this is how you need to play mines if you've won the hill. So let's take him out, bam, and yeah, in the end, 3.4k damage, 1.2k assisting damage, and I think we nicely controlled this game. We did not play over aggressively. We always try to conduct smart gameplay. We try to think about what we are doing, thus not to throw away our tank. And yeah, once again, this is how you should play mines. And in the end, we even made 5 kills. All right, let's talk about another map, and that is Serene Coast. So we are spawning with the ASX X40T on the southern spawn, but let's first of all take a look at the map and see how this map actually works from a strategic point of view. Spawning on Serene Coast in the south, this is how the game usually develops. And in my opinion, the most important position is the C1 position. So this hill right here, this is the most important position. Why so? Well, because from this position, you can basically push into the adversary base very easily, no matter if you are playing from the southern spawn or whether you are playing from the northern spawn. This is easily possible if you've won the hill. Keep in mind that this is the high ground, and from the high ground you always have an advantage. Now pushing into the adversary base from the other side of the map is actually not that easy. So from here into this position, because there's a super defensive position right here, plus from this position into the base, because there are some you know, strong defensive positions right here, but then also somewhere around here. So pushing into the adversary base from the C1 position is much easier. Therefore, it is crucial to win this position. Now, of course, you need to have hull down capable tanks to play this little hill here. And And if you do not win this position, then yeah, your team has a hard time actually winning the game. In my opinion, the northern spawn does have an advantage when it comes to pushing this position, but nonetheless, the southern team should always also try to fight for this position. And in my experience, the team which puts more effort into winning the C1 position actually manages to do so, to win this position, and then thereafter most often wins the game. So in my opinion, this is the strategic position that you should fight for. And if you've lost this position, then you have a hard time winning the game, at least from the southern spawn, because the northern spawn, as opposed to the southern one, does have some really strong defensive position. The first one is right here. The second one is right here. The third one is this super duper strong position right here. So yeah, this is the advantage of the northern spawn, but the southern spawn actually does not have this defensive position. There's one right here, but then basically maybe one here, but then basically that is it. Plus those two defensive positions are not as strong as the ones on the northern side, and so once again, especially if you are the southern team, try to win the C1 position. So in my opinion, with the southern spawn, you unfortunately start off with the inferior spawn. Nonetheless, the strategic position remains the same, so the C1 position. And so in my opinion, on this map, you need to make sure, if you want to win the game, you need to make sure to win the C1 position. Now, unfortunately, as you can see, nobody of our team, apart from the Concept 5, is going to the C1 position. The can opener is not, the Object 430U is not, well, maybe understandable. The IS-7 is not, the Type 5 Heavy is not, and so there's no chance that we will win the C1 position with the glass cannon tank. Now, this is why I decided to go to this position right here, and to simply try to snipe and get as much damage as I can in order to reduce the HP of the adversary tanks. But in my opinion, if you do not lose the C1 position, then the game is most likely lost. And that is, little spoiler, what we will see right here. So if you are playing on Serene Coast, even if your tank is not, you know, suited perfectly for hull-down gameplay, you should nevertheless try to consider to play the C1 position and try to win this position, because otherwise your team will have a hard time winning the map. Now, I have emptied all my clip. Unfortunately, I only made 441 damage, so only one shot. And so I try to relocate, because I do not want to stand in the first line once the other tanks are approaching, just like the Guerrilla 15 and also the Minotauro. The Minotauro does have an exceptionally strong frontal armor, but I do not. And so, yeah, I want to relocate, and I think the best thing that you can do is you can relocate all the way to the other side of the map, as there is no very strong defensive position, you know, on the H, J, and K lane, out of which you can first of all make a decent amount of damage, but then also further retreat if the adversary team is, you know, simply rushing towards your base and towards your position. So this is why I go to this very defensive position right here, and from this position I want to make more damage. Now there's a nice little bush here, but first of all, maybe I can take a shot onto the Leopard 1, which is behind cover. So yeah, nothing what I can do. The only thing is maybe onto the Stritzwang. No. Okay, so let's go into this bush and here go. Let's see whether we can make a shot. Nice. Bam, onto the ASXX. Nice. And that's what I want to do in this tank. 3 shots onto the adversary ASXX 40T, and all of a sudden we increased our damage to 1.6k, which is exactly what we want to do. And as you can see, the southern portion, the whole southern portion is lost right away. That is exactly what is happening all the time on Serene Coast, simply because the southern spawn is so inferior compared to the northern spawn. The northern spawn does have this fantastic defensive position, not only in the A4 position, if you are, you know, peeking over the hill on the C1 position, but also then where the Badger is located, so in the A7, A8 position, and this is what the southern spawn is missing on this map. So yeah, nothing what you can do. If your team does not play the C1 position and loses this position, then the game is most likely lost, and all you can do is try to make more damage at the end of the game, so that you at least get a decent result, even though your team loses the game. So I want to relocate this last shot and then you know, retreat further back into a better position. Game is actually still pretty close to my surprise, but you know, that's how it is. Unfortunately, we get a shot by the Jackal, so let's go into cover. Yeah, second shot. Okay, should have retreated earlier. You know what? Let's okay, I want to take a shot onto the AMX. He has just shot, so nice. Let's try to take him out. Here you go, and bam, one shot, and nice, we can take him out. So let's now go into the reload, and yeah, okay, all of our teammates have been taken out, and you know what, it's now time to use the remaining 3 shells. Maybe we can make 1, 2, or even 3 shots. The problem is we only have 622 alpha damage, and yeah, okay, so he's, yeah, okay, all right, 1 more shot. But that is what I want to tell you. If you lose the C1 position on Serene Coast, then your game is most likely lost, and then the only thing you can do if you are working on the southern spawn is you can relocate to the other side of the map to then at least get a decent chunk of damage throughout the game, so that at least you do not get a horrible result with the loss of your team. So yeah, 2 examples, Mines and Serene Coast, and maybe those tips and tricks help you to play more successfully on those 2 maps. Alright guys, that was it for today with the video about how to play Mines and Serene Coast. Do you agree with my strategy for these 2 maps, or do you have another opinion? Just leave a comment in the comment section down below. And as always, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up or hype the video. You can hype the video multiple times, it really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. If you find this video extremely helpful, then feel free to support me via super thanks. This way you can make a one-time donation. You just have to click this button underneath the video. If you adore this channel and you want to consistently support me, then consider subscribing to my channel or become a member once again with the click of a button underneath the video. Thanks a lot, and I see you next time in another World of Tanks video.